For our next foray into how to bring spirituality into the workplace and make the workplace spiritual, this is something we ran into. I was in program design for the medical industry, and so sometimes we'd have projects given to us where they wouldn't be defined at all. They'd just be, oh, I know how to keep my medical records in the computer. It could mean a million different things. It was early in the game when no one was computerizing medical records. Or appointment scheduling. What does it mean? What are the criteria? There were no specifications. So there are times when you are given a project that you literally don't know what to do. It's just that simple. It's not that you're blocked, it's that you haven't had the experience. There isn't someone to turn to that has had the experience. So you bring a team together and no one in that team knows what to do. So that brings up a really interesting teaching of how to work spiritually and how the benefits of all of the deep Eastern teachings can come into the workplace. What we used to do in a situation like that is I'd bring my team together, 6 or 7 people would sit around, all very, very high-level developers. And the first criteria that I would work with is, are you all willing to admit you don't have an answer? You don't know. And I'm their boss, they don't like saying that, but you have to start with reality. Otherwise, somebody's walking into that room thinking they're supposed to have an answer. They don't, but they made something up. That is noise that just creates tremendous trouble in the workplace, in a meeting, in this creative environment. All right? That somebody thinks they know, but what they really know is I want to know, and I want to impress everybody, and I'm afraid of not knowing. So it's just ego garbage. And so you don't want to bring that into the meeting. So what do? How do you start? Everybody's sitting there admitting, I don't know. So what I learned to do, and what I taught them, I called it the yin-yang method of design, of solving problems that you don't have the answers to. You don't know how to start, so let's start somewhere. You start with asking the question, well, what's the minimum that I could do? It's not the right answer. We're not going to do it. Nobody's justifying it. But what is the minimum that we could do and claim that it satisfied this project that we've been given? And you talk about it. Don't design it. Don't get down to detail because we're not going to stay there. You just get a feeling of what's right about the minimum, what's wrong about the minimum. And all of a sudden, you know about this. You know why that's not enough. You can get passionate about it. You know why it won't solve this problem or that problem or satisfy one of your clients, right? And you know why you have to have at least that. We can't go lower than that, right? Because it doesn't do anything. And all of a sudden, you're having a fruitful, engaged, beautiful discussion where a minute ago, everybody was saying, I don't know anything. And all of a sudden, you realize you do know something. You do know what the minimum looks like. So you start with that. But you don't design it. You don't get down to, oh, what will we do? What will it look like? No. Just talk about what the pros and cons of this being the minimum. Find the minimum. Find the lower edge. Then immediately, once you put that to rest for a moment, don't let anybody buy in. Don't say, oh, I think that's right. I'm not interested. This is not about whether you like it or don't like it. It's about admitting this is the least we could do, and here's the pros and cons of that. Then go to the expansive. What's the most you could do? What's the most you could do? There is a most you could do. You know, it could take you 3 years to do it. But given that situation that you're talking about, just let your mind go. What is the most that you could do? You know, going beyond that would be ridiculous. There'd be no way you'd need to. There'd be no way you'd want to. What is the outer edge of what this project could look like? All right, if you really just expanded it into what's the most it could mean. And people are going to get passionate about that. They get passionate about, oh, we could do this. Just lay it all out there. It stimulates the creative juices. You're not going to do it. We're not discussing this because this is the design of the project. You're setting the lower and upper limits of what this could look like. Now talk about the pros and cons of the expanded side. What would be great about it? What would be ridiculous to go that far? No one uses it, it's way off, etc. And get other people's opinions. Because everyone's gonna have a different opinion. But there is a point in which everyone in that room will agree, well, I don't think we'll go that far, but there's no way you'd ever go further. You've matched your outer edge and your inner edge. Believe it or not, you just set the boundaries to something that was undefinable before. You said, I didn't know a thing about it. Now you do. You know what the lower side and the upper side looks like. But again, don't make any decisions. I don't want somebody in the meeting saying, oh, I want to do that, right? That person's not useful anymore. You're supposed to stay open. We're just exploring. We're gaining data. We're just kind of putting a circle around it so we can work. Then what you start doing is working in toward the middle. Moving toward the middle is a cost-benefit analysis, right? If I do less than the most, what did I give up? What did I gain? I gave up a 2%er that someday they'd need it, but I gained that it took 1/3 the time to do it, all right, so I can get it out. You start doing a cost-benefit analysis coming toward the center. You do the same thing with the minimum. Well, what if I did a little bit more? Oh my God, I fell into what I call my 80-20 rule, the Pareto principle, which is you get to a point where for doing 20% of the work, you get 80% of the results. There's always an 80-20. It's an amazing situation, right? There is a place in which for 20% of the effort, you get 80% of the results. If you do more, it asymptotically reduces. It's not an even curve. So you're starting to look for that 80-20 point. So as I start to add more off the minimum, there's a cost. It takes some time, but I get a tremendous benefit. Believe me, a little bit more effort from the minimum gets a lot more people satisfied. And you just start moving toward the center. Moving toward the center. And it's an amazing process. It works every single time. And then you end up at a point where you don't know where to go anymore. Everyone came together. Everyone agrees with the cost benefit pretty much as you're coming down there. But then you get a point where there's disagreement. You're not sure if you add this and so on. And my experience is then it doesn't make any difference. You've done your job. You moved it down toward the balance point. Whatever you pick in that in-between zone, just make it be right. Just do a good job, make it be right. You will never make a bad decision if that's how you're making your decisions, how you're working that through. I can't even say creativity did that because we used an analytical process to do it. But what it ends up coming out of that is the Tao, the natural balance that comes from not too much, not too little, from finding the balance of the yin and the yang. So now you've just brought this beautiful metaphysical concept into the workplace, and you've used it to solve a problem that seemed unsolvable. And what's beautiful is as people walk out of these meetings, they're so inspired, whereas they walked in not knowing anything. They didn't know where to go. You gave them a place to go by finding solid ground and then moving in. So look how much fun that is. You can have fun with a meeting. Imagine a meeting being fun. Imagine a meeting where no one knows what to do being fun, right? That's creative. That's using creativity to make something beautiful out of what could be a bad situation.